Okay, short, relatively short, quick little mobility mat workout. I am going to use a band for one exercise. If you don't own a band or don't have a band with you, scarf will do the same sort of thing, dressing gown, cord will do the same sort of thing as well, but band if you have it. Okay, so we're going to start lying down on our back in what we call supine. So knees hip width distance apart. So before you lie down, just have a look at your feet and see where they are. You want them in line with your knees. So second toe should line up with your knees. Lying down on your back. Head, neck and shoulders nice and relaxed. Bring your arms down by your side. First thing you're going to do is what I would describe as a body scan. So you're literally going to take a moment to think about how your body feels when you're lying down on the mat. So you're going to start at the top of your head. You're going to think, okay, head, neck and shoulders. What is touching the mat? What isn't touching the mat? What is the difference between the left and the right side? So for instance, I can feel that my right shoulder is quite elevated off of the mat compared to my left shoulder. That's my old mouse hand, so that's not a surprise for me. Your arms. How do your arms feel? What's touching, what isn't? Is left to right different? Through your rib cage area, how does that feel? What's touching the mat? What isn't touching the mat? Down through your lower back and your lumbar spine area, how does it feel? Maybe one side feels higher up off of the mat than the other, or vice versa. Little check through your hips, how do they feel? Do they feel connected to the mat, or do they feel quite lifted? And even down to your feet, how do your feet feel down on the mat? And you're going to take your hands and you're going to place them on the base of your ribs, and you're going to make your middle fingers touch each other. So they're sitting on the bottom of your ribs and your middle fingers are touching. You're going to lengthen your neck out and take your gaze right up towards the ceiling. So there's a nice gap between your chin and your chest. We're going to do some rib cage breathing and get some movement in our upper body. So you're going to take a breath in through your nose and you're going to breathe out through your mouth. Big deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. You're going to keep breathing like that for me, and as you're breathing, you should be able to feel your ribs moving underneath your hands. So the idea of your hands on your rib cage is to give you feedback. Are your ribs moving? If your middle fingers are coming apart, then your ribs are moving. It mightn't be far, they might just be coming apart. That gap might get bigger as you keep going and you start to get movement through your rib cage and your thoracic spine. So this is our example of breath facilitating movement. 2 more breaths, big deep breath in, feel those ribs expand. Exhale, let all that air out. 1 more breath pattern for me, big deep breath in through your nose and out through mouth. Leave one hand on the base of your rib cage, take your other hand and rest it on your belly for me. We're going to do some diaphragmatic breathing. So we're going to breathe with our bellies. So you're going to breathe in. As you breathe in, you'll feel your belly lifting up underneath your hand, and then you're going to breathe out and you'll feel your belly dropping back down. So as you breathe in, your belly lifts. As you breathe out, the belly lowers. You're going to keep going like that for me. This is not a normal breath pattern for adults. Little babies breathe like this, but it's not normal for adults. We're massaging our internal organs. We're creating some movement down through our lower torso. Our abdominals are getting warmed up, so the muscles are starting to get warmed with the movement. Diaphragm's connected to our pelvic floor, so the two work in conjunction with each other. So by doing your diaphragmatic breathing, you're gently working your pelvic floor. It's lifting up and down. 2 more breaths, big deep breath in. Feel that belly lift, exhale out. 1 more breath pattern, big deep breath in through your nose and out through mouth. You're going to place your arms down by your side and you're going to turn your palms up for me. We're going to use some imagery today. You can imagine I've got a black texture out, permanent black texture. We're going to draw a clock on your mat. That clock, just like what is on the face of your watch, has 4 numbers on it, a 12, a 6, a 3 and a 9. That clock is resting directly underneath your pelvis. 12 is underneath your belly button, 6 is down between your legs, 3 and 9 are your left and right hip bone. 3 is your right hip bone, 9 is your left hip bone. We're going to start the movement between 12 and 6. So you're going to take a breath in. As you breathe out, you're going to gently roll your pelvis backwards. You're going to gently push onto number 12 of that clock, and you'll feel your spine imprint into the mat. Then you're going to roll your pelvis forwards. You're going to feel your back arch, and you're rolling down towards number 6. You're going to gently roll backwards onto number 12, and then you're going to roll forwards onto number 6. So you're going to roll backwards and forwards. As you roll backwards and forwards, your knees are still. Try not to let them move around too much. Try not to let them sway. Chin will move, head will move. Chin will pop into your chest, chin will go up towards the ceiling. Match the movement to each breath. So go nice and slow for me. Gently rolling backwards, allow the spine to flatten and lengthen the lumbar spine, then roll forwards. One more each way. Gently rolling backwards, spine flattens. Rolling forwards, back arches, and then rest in neutral. We're going to play with 3 and 9 of that clock as well. So remember, 3 is your left hip bone, 9 is your right, 3 is your right hip bone, 9 is your left hip bone. Okay, so we're going to go towards the right hip bone first, number 3 of your clock. So just gently push that hip bone down into the mat, and then roll across to the other side to number 9 of your clock. So you're going to gently roll backwards to number 3 of your clock, and then roll back to number 9. Now keep moving like that. Start to think about what's happening with your knees. They shouldn't be moving very much. So your movement from side to side from 3 to 9 is small. Keep it nice and small. Try to stabilize through your knees and just let your pelvis gently rock from side to side. Picture old-fashioned scales in that movement. That's exactly the same movement you're trying to reflect in your pelvis. One more each way. Gently roll onto number 3 of your clock, your right hip bone. Roll over to number 9, your left, and then rest in neutral. We're going to use that whole clock now. We're going to start with 12. You're going to take a breath in. You're going to breathe out to roll your pelvis backwards onto number 12 of your clock. Roll yourself around to number 3. Go right down to number 6. Come around back to number 9, and finally back to number 12. Keep going in that direction. You're making a circle with your pelvis. Your knees are as still as possible. Feet are firm on the mat. Try not to let your feet move around. You're trying to mobilize your pelvis, but keep stable through your legs. Let's change direction. Go to number 9, go down to number 6, come around to number 3 and back to 12. You've got 2 more in that direction. Gently around, arch the back as you go to 6, round to 3, as you go to 12, your spine imprints, last one. And then when you get to neutral, you're going to rest. You're going to bring your knees and feet together to touch each other. You're going to take one hand and place it on the top of your hip bone on your right hand side. You're going to take your other hand, you're going to slide it underneath your lower back on your left hand side. If that is uncomfortable, you can bring your arms down by your side, but I want you to get some feedback with your hands. So there should be no movement under your hip bone with your right hand, and there should be no movement of your back pushing on to your left hand. Literally no movement between 3 and 9 of your imaginary clock. Bent knee fallout, starting with your left leg. Take a breath in first. Breathe out to slowly let your left leg go out towards the side. You should feel no change of pressure on your hand underneath your left hand side. Then pull your left leg back to the middle. Go to the right. Take your right leg out towards the side. You should be feeling no movement under that, on that right hip bone under your right hand, and then pull it back to center. So alternate sides. Your breath matches your movement. So one breath out to take the leg out, one breath in to bring the leg back in. Keep it nice, smooth and controlled pace, matching your movement. Nice and smooth and controlled. So nice and smooth, not jerking around, and keeping the pelvis and the hips as still as you can. So we're mobilizing the hip joint. Okay, when you get to the center, pause. Knees and feet are still touching. Take your hands out, place them down by your side on about a 45-degree angle. Now, both legs at the same time. Take a breath in, breathe out to let both legs draw apart at the same time, and then pull them back together. Feel that engagement of your pelvic floor and that zip up through your center line. Exhaling. as your knees come apart. Inhaling as you draw them back in. Nice, smooth, controlled movement, both knees tracking at the same time and same pace. One's not going quicker than the other. Imagine there's a rubber band between your knees. It allows your knees to pull apart at the same time, and it draws them back together. We're going to do 2 more. Allowing those knees to come apart, and then pull them back. Last one for me. Knees come apart. Pull them back, pause in the middle. Allow both of your knees to drop to the right hand side of your mat and look over your left shoulder. So big rotational stretch here. Take a couple of moments to breathe into your left rib cage. Nice big deep breaths. Okay, tummy muscles are switched on. Squeeze your knees together, pull them through the center line, drop them to the other side, gaze over the opposite shoulder. Couple of big deep breaths into your right rib cage here. We're going to do 1 more in each direction. Squeeze your knees through the middle. As you bring them through the middle, tummy muscles are switched on. Gaze goes back over the left shoulder, knees goes to the right hand side. Pause here. Breathe into your ribs here. And last one, squeeze the knees through the center, drop them to the other side, gaze over the opposite shoulder. Hang here and breathe. Breathe into your ribs. Nice big deep breaths. And then pull yourself back into the center line and rest. Grab your blue band. Take your band. Put one foot up into the band. Make the band as flat as you can on the bottom of your foot. Stretch your other leg out long and straight. So I put the band in my left foot, my right leg's out long and straight. The leg that's out long and straight, I want you to pull your toes towards your nose. That's going to help you stabilize and keep that leg still. Elbows are down on the ground. You're going to keep your elbows on the ground. You're going to do some big circles. You're going to take your leg across your body. You're going to take your leg down to the bottom of the mat, out to the side and back up to the top. You're going to inhale as you go across your body, exhale to go out and around. Make sure your leg comes across your body, and as you do that, keep your rib cage on the mat. So the top part of your body isn't moving. Remember, that right leg is still. Try not to let it roll around on the mat. You're just trying to move your left leg and your left hip slightly. Big deep breaths. Remember, we've seen how breath facilitates movement, so try not to hold your breath. Change direction, go the other way. Leg out towards the side, bring it around across the body and back up. Inhale, exhale. That right leg is still stable and it's still. Don't let it move around. Inhale as you go across, exhale as you go around. Okay, we've got 2 to go. We're just lengthening the leg muscles out. The leg muscles go into our lower back. Pause at the top. Keep your foot in the band, bring your leg towards your face, little hamstring stretch. If you're feeling that more in your calf, point your toes to the ceiling, you'll get more hamstring. Watch the band doesn't come off of your foot. Put both bands into your opposite hand, gently take your leg across your body, but don't let your body roll off of the mat. So you're not going so far that you feel like you're going to roll off of your mat. The closer your foot is towards your face, the more intense that stretch will be. You don't need it to be intense, but you do want it to be stretching. Bring your leg back to the ceiling, hold on with your opposite hand, take it out towards the side. Now you get that nice inner thigh stretch. Back it off if it's too severe for you. Okay, bring your leg back up towards the ceiling, change legs over. So other foot's going to come up into the band. That leg is going to go down on the mat. You're going to flex your foot. You've got hold of your straps of your band, but you're not hanging on for dear life. You're going to do circles across the body initially, out, around and up. Inhale as you go across, exhale as you go round. Nice relaxed head, neck and shoulders. Try not to bring too much tension into them. Top part of your body is nice and still, so your rib cage shouldn't be leaving the mat. The left leg is stable and grounded into the mat. 2 more in this direction and then we're going to reverse. Last one here. Okay, change, go the other way. Out, around and up. Inhale, exhale. Let them flow. Nice big deep breaths. Body's stable. Opening up the hip joint, lengthening the lower back muscles, lengthening through the psoas. 1 more circle, pause at the top. Hamstring stretch, remember the foot position. If you're getting more calf, point your toes to the ceiling a bit, you'll get more hammy. Breathe into it. Hold onto the band with your opposite hand, take your leg across your body. So getting into that nice stretch through your hip, nice big deep breaths. Okay, last one to the other side, out to that inner thigh stretch. Breathe. One more breath pattern there. Bring your leg back to the ceiling, untangle your foot out of the band, drop the band away on the floor next to you. Roll onto your side for me. Have both knees bent, rest your head on your arm. Now your gaze should be across your room. You don't want to curl yourself forwards too much into a little bowl. So to keep your neck nice and long, your gaze should be looking across the room. Your feet are in line with your hips, so you don't want to have your knees too far forwards. Take your hand and put it on your hip and then push your hip away. So you've literally created a little gap underneath your waistline. You want to keep that little gap. Your feet are going to stay touching. You're going to lift your top knee up off of your bottom knee, and then you're going to lower it down. So you're opening and closing that leg just to the point that you can keep your hips still. As soon as you feel your hip tipping backwards, I want you to stop the movement. So you're only going as high as you can keep that stability in your hip. Nice big deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Gently open and close. Okay, 2 more. Open, close, last one. Okay, place your hand down on the mat and give yourself some stability in your hand. Not so much your whole body weight drops into it, but I want you to stabilize through your hand. Bottom leg stays straight, top leg lengthens out nice and long, and your heel is in line with your hip, so you're not too high here. Okay, nice long straight line. Foot is flexed, the toes are pulled towards your nose. Inhale as you bring your legs slowly forwards, point your toes, and exhale as you take your legs slowly backwards. Inhale as you bring your legs slowly forwards. Exhale, take your legs slowly backwards. Remember that little gap that you created underneath your waistline? I want that still there. So think long leg. Lengthen it right out. Take that foot back as far as you possibly can. Gliding forwards, gliding backwards. Again, you're opening up through the hip joint, but you're working to do it. Inhale, breath forwards, helps you stabilize. Exhale, breath backwards, helps you stabilize. Flexing and pointing the foot. If it gives you cramp, just do the foot position in whatever is comfortable today. 1 more in each direction. Glide forwards, glide backwards, hold there. Take the leg backwards as far as you possibly can. Point your toes away from you. Take your hand off of the mat. Reach as far as you can in an opposite diagonal to your leg. Open the palm of your hands, point your fingers, reach as far as you can. Make your body nice and long. Take 1 breath into that right rib cage. And then exhale to lower everything all the way down. Flip yourself onto your other side. Take your time to come round. Okay, head resting in on the arm again. You could have a pillow if your arm's a bit grumpy. Your arm could be straight. Your gaze is across the room. Knees are bent. Feet are tucked back in line with your hip. First of all, hand comes on your hip. Push your hip away. So again, you've created that little gap underneath your waistline. You're going to keep that little gap for me. Keeping your hand on your hip gives you some feedback and assists you to do so. Feet stay touching, lift the top knee up off of the bottom knee for me, and then lower it down. Inhaling as you lift it, exhaling as you lower. Pelvis stays nice and still. If you feel your hips wanting to tip backwards for me, then you're going to change the range and make it smaller. Work within the range that's comfortable for your body today, and left hip and right hip might well be different. My left is much more restricted compared to my right. Gliding and lowering. Let's do 2 more. Gentle open, close, last one, pause. Hand comes down onto the mat for a bit of stability, not too much weight into that hand, but hold onto the mat for me. Stretch the top leg out long and straight, flex the foot. The leg is in line with your hip, so it's not too high. Inhale, as you bring that leg forwards, point your toe, take it backwards as far as you can without your torso moving. Your leg is really long. As you bring your leg forwards, you're trying to scrape your heel on the wall on the opposite side of your room. As you go backwards again, you're trying to reach that wall with your toes. So you're opening up the hip joint, gliding forwards on an inhale breath, gliding backwards on an exhale breath. Lengthen through the leg, torso is stable, breath is helping you to do that. Gliding forwards and gliding backwards. Okay, 1 to go. We're going to hold back there. Glide forwards, Glide backwards, hold there, reach that foot back as far as you possibly can, take your hand off of the mat, off of the floor, reach your hand away from him in a great big diagonal long line to your foot, open through the palm of your hand, stretch your fingers out, take a breath into your rib cage here, and then breathe out to lower everything all the way down. We're going to stay on this side, we're going to bend both knees again, rest them on top of each other. Gentle engagement of your knees together, so you're going to squeeze them together. Top arm comes out on the floor in front of you. Your hips are now going to be still. No movement from your hips down through your legs. We're going to do a little quick set of book openings. Take a breath in and breathe out to slowly bring your arm to the ceiling. Let your gaze follow your hand. And then bring your hand back down to the floor. Breathing in first, breathe out to bring the arm to the ceiling. Gaze follows the hand. And then bring the hand to the floor. Okay, we're going to go stir the back. Remember, your knees are still, your hips are still. Arm comes to the ceiling, taking that arm just as far back as you can without your hips tipping backwards. Lengthen the arm to the ceiling and bring it back to the floor. Inhale, breath first. Exhale, back you go. Open up through the front of your chest and then bring it all the way back. Let your gaze follow your hand. That's going to help mobilize your neck. Nice long breaths. Remember, those hips are still. We're going to do one more. Breathe in first, breathe out to go back. Gaze follows. Go to the point where you can't go any further than unless your hips drop back, and then just let your hips drop back. See if you can get your arm closer to the floor. You may even be able to touch the floor, but don't switch your tummy muscles off. Keep some engagement through there. Nice big deep breaths here. Squeeze your knees together, lengthen your arm to the ceiling and bring it all the way back to the floor. Slowly put yourself on your other side. Knees are bent, feet are tucked back, head's resting in on your arm, your gaze is across your room again, so your neck is in line with your spine. Top arm comes on the floor in front of you. Take a breath in and breathe out to bring your arm to the ceiling, let your gaze follow your hand, and then bring your hand back to the floor. Inhale first, exhale, arm comes to the ceiling, gaze follows the hand, and then bring it back to the floor. Okay, you're going to go into rotation. Arm comes to the ceiling, rotating further back, knees are squeezed together. Lengthen the arm to the ceiling and bring it back to the floor. Breath in, breathe out to go back. Knees are squeezed together and then lengthen to the ceiling and bring it back to the floor. 3 more. Knees are still, hips are still. We're just opening through the top part of the body and keeping the bottom part of our body stable. Nice long breaths, back you go. Okay, we're going to do one more. We're going to hang out there. So you're going to go to that point where you know you can't go any further without your knees and your hips moving. And then you're going to let them move. You're going to get your arm further towards the ground. You're going to just drop yourself back into that nice rotational stretch. Just go to where's comfortable today. Stay here and breathe for me. Nice big deep breaths. Okay, squeeze your knees together. Those tummy muscles of yours are switched on. Lengthen your arm to the ceiling and bring it all the way back to the floor. Wriggle yourself onto your back for me. Have your knees bent and bring your arms down by your side. Body scan. How do you feel? Start at the top. Head, neck and shoulders. How does it feel compared to your first body scan? What's now touching the mat compared to what wasn't touching the mat? Hopefully there's a little bit more of your body connected to the mat. Down through your arms. How does it feel? What's touching? What isn't touching? Go back to your ribcage area and your lower back. Have a little thought about what's touching and what isn't touching. Down through your hips. And finally down to your feet. Lovely. Then roll back onto your side, place the hand on the floor and slowly bring yourself up to a sitting position, and you're going to sit for a minute. We're going to come right up to standing. We're going to do some standing twists and some standing mermaids. So take yourself up to standing. Have your feet hip width distance apart for me. And then stand tall and find a spot to look out on the wall. Just keep your eyes on that spot. Then have your hands down by your side. Keep looking at that spot and slide your hand down your thigh. Should feel a lovely stretch through the opposite side. Come back up to neutral, stand tall, and then change sides. So you're getting lateral flexion movement through the side of the body. By keeping your gaze in a spot across the room, it's keeping you upright. You're not letting yourself bend forwards to get the stretch through your side. As you keep moving through these, hopefully you'll feel that you're getting a little bit more length down through your hand, sliding down your leg. Nice big deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling. So lateral flexion, movement down through your side, one more each way. Inhale, exhale. Last one on the other side. Okay, pause in the center. Bring your hands across your hips. Little squeeze of your butt to engage your glutes and your hips. Keep your hips still and rotate. So your two pubic bones should be facing forwards. Try not to let them move. Rotating left to right, breathing out as you twist. You want to stabilize through your hips. That squeeze of your butt is helping you do so. Nice big deep breaths. Okay, you're going to do one more each way. Gentle rotation through the center, last one to the other side. Back in the middle, pause. Float your arms down by your side, stand nice and tall. We're going to roll up and down, take a breath in. As you exhale, bring your chin towards your chest, gaze towards the floor, slowly roll down, keep your hips as still as you can. Almost like you're feeling like you're going to somersault forwards with the weight distribution in your feet. Pause there, take a breath in. Slowly roll back up, breathe out as you come back up. If you feel lightheaded, stay standing upright. Think of the weight distribution between your feet, 60-40. 60 at the front of your feet, 40 in your heels. Breath in, chin to chest, look down to the floor, slowly roll down. That 60% in the front of your foot will make you feel like you might just topple over and somersault, but you're not going to let yourself do that. Your hips are still. If you're not sure whether your hips are moving, you could stand a foam roller behind you, or you could even stand yourself against the wall. If you choose to stand against the wall, give yourself a bit of grace. Breath in, breathe out to go down. Let your arms hang, they belong to a rag doll. Pause there, inhale. As you exhale, one full breath to come back up. Picture in your mind, each vertebrae stacks one on top of the other. You're going to stand nice and tall. We're going to do one more. Breath in, tuck of the chin to the chest, down you go. Breathe out to go all the way down. You're going to pause at the bottom, eyes staying open. Circle your arms. So just let your arms hang out of your arm sockets and draw some circles on the floor with them for me. Change direction. Your gaze should be down between your legs if you're just letting your head hang. Okay, pause there, arms are still, take a breath in, breathe out to come all the way back up. And then stand tall and stand still. Shoulders are dropped and away from your ears. Alright, we're going to finish with a little bit of a stretch. So again, focus your eyes on a spot across the room on a wall. Take a breath in. As you breathe out, float your arms out towards the side. Lengthen your fingers out towards the side. Bring your arms right up towards the ceiling. Open through the palm of your hands. And then slowly lower your heels to the floor. Lengthen your arms out like you're pushing them down through water. Breathe in, breathe out. Nice and tall, onto your tippy toes if you can. And then slowly down, open through the palms, shoulders coming away from your ears. And last one, breath in, breathe out. And then slowly down. Okay, 2 shoulder rolls in each direction. Nice big shoulder rolls. Reverse the direction. Nice. Relax, arms are long, standing tall, shoulders away from your ears. See if you can keep your shoulders away from your ears for the rest of your day. Enjoy. I'll see you all soon. Bye now.